Well, hello there, David Taylor on Mr. Pelargonium, back with another video for the Pelargonium and Geranium Society. Today, I suppose you could say it's beginner's corner again. We're going to look at our dwarf zonal plant that we've been taking through for about a year now, I guess. And so we're going to just see how it's grown through the winter. Prepare it potentially for an appearance of the show, but we will have to see, I think, on that, as we'll talk through that in a moment. So let's get going. Okay, well, it's great to see you again. We're in the sort of middle part of February. I'm actually filming this on Sunday, the 19th of February. The last week has actually been really quite mild. The first sort of mildish spell of weather we've had for a little while, and it's really begun to bring things on. Everything is turning, everything that's green is very much greening up now as the daylight hours get much better. And it's really making a difference to the plants now as they just begin to put on their early part of growth for the coming season. But our test plant here has come through. It's shown one or two signs of a little bit of rot, which we'll have a look at in a moment. So without further ado, let's close into the plant and we'll see how we go. Right, so I've really closed into this now, and we can see we've had good growth, but one of the real problems that we've had is that we did that quite late stop. I will have a look to see when I publish the video for when I did that, and I'll put that on the screen now. But I think it was well into October, and this is one of the reasons why I do not stock generally my exhibition plants in the autumn. Maybe late summer at the absolute latest, because when you come to stop at this time of year, this sort of early to mid-February time, you will just not have enough growth to actually tip stop back. Now, one or two of the stems have grown through, and there's a nice example of one. This one's grown up high. So we can just tip stop that. I probably will do that because it's got too tall. But we'll have a look at the shape. We've got one or two stipules on here, which I would just nip off. But generally this has stayed relatively clean. There's a debate again. We got the length on this one about whether we may need to cut that further down in order to just round it off a bit. The key thing as well is that every time I water it, which is probably been 2 times a week at the moment, because it's turned particularly mild here in the UK over the last week or so. I'm giving this a water twice a week, but it is full strength liquid feed. We can see here that's growing out. We've got a bloom there, but the next node down has got an inward growing stem break just coming in there. Hopefully you can see that. So I've just got to get my knife and give that a stop. So I'm pleased in some ways that there is a little bit of material to show you here that I'm going to stop. And now this is, as I've said, I think before, is Gosbrook Susanna, which always grows very well for me. I realised on the last stopping video, I wasn't very good at actually showing you what I was doing, but because my arm was in the way. But we can see there we've got a nice inward break just coming into the growth there at the base of the stem. I'm going to take that leaf off. Again, the plant is just slightly damp, it's not bone dry. Now here is a stem that's been affected a little bit by the damp. Just get my tweezers. That there is, again, a dead stipule. Because it's been relatively dry, we're no longer getting the threat of sort of rotting back really, and the days are lengthening, and so I'm opening up the greenhouse quite a bit. I've got a dead stem, a dead leaf down there, which I'm just taking out. So there we are, I've done that. There's nothing that I can do here That one's actually fine. I've just got a stipule there. But this is one of the stems that we cut back in, I think it was October. And we got 2 nice breaks coming out of there. And this is what it's all about. It's all about sort of stopping down and enabling side shoots to break out with new stems. That's ultimately how you get the bushy plants, which is hopefully what I've been able to teach you. Now, some of these new stems, we saw them on this side here a moment ago. You can't do anything with these. These are too small. And we just have to see how they grow. Now, one thing we have got here is a dead stem. That's rotted back. Just give it a little bend. You can see if it's really soft, you know it's rotten. So I'm going to take that one right back. You give it a little bend and we'll be able to see that it's rotten. Show you that in a moment. Slice, always mind your fingers, of course, and that's totally rotten. Look, that's gone completely. We have got stems growing into it. Now, the biggest problem we've got is that we need to get all of that out, and you can see I've still got a bit of dead wood there, so we need to go down a bit deeper. Hopefully I can do that. Yeah, there we go. Got rid of that bit. There's still a little bit in there. Remember, I'm going to clean my knife again now for that last cut. There we are. Just slicing down to get this little rotten bit of stem out. I'm going to go quite deep. So, and there we are, all gone. Just take that out. Wipe again. Keep a clean knife. Yeah, that's just a bit of debris on there. And there we are, that's dead clean now. And what I might do, I'm going to dab a little bit of yellow sulphur on that. There we are. So that's got rid of that rotten stem. Hasn't caused too many problems, I don't think. So let's have a look where we are here. So again, we're looking at it sort of from the side. This is growing out far too much. These taller ones certainly need a stop. It's good actually that these have grown on enough to give a tip stop. So it just shows you could potentially in the autumn just go maybe a tad earlier than we did with this one, and you would probably have enough stem growth to do a stop. Again, it's not going to harm the plant taking these leaves off now, particularly as we've definitely seen some growth. Just getting rid of some of these slightly yellower leaves. So realistically, all we've got left is this great tall stem that's growing out the top, and that's going to need to be cut back, I think. Now we've got a side shoot here that's coming out. What I'm going to do is cut the top of this away. There, I've taken the whole top part of that stem out because it's just too tall, just to bring it back into line with some of the other stems there. Now, this one here I've actually just noticed is rotten. I don't think that will harm it just to take that off. You've got a little bit of rotten end there. It's not too rotten, it's dry, but that then balances really with this one. It's not a problem. Bit of a rotten end. I don't think anything would break from that. And I think, that's arguably it. I suppose the only debate, going back to this original stem here, is whether that is growing out too far or whether I potentially bring it back. I'm just trying to look at the base of the plant and seeing where we are. Yeah, I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to chop this one off. We've got a nice stem break here. It's growing out the side. This is one that I did earlier, but I'm actually going to take that down. I'm going to cut this side off. It's too long. I mean, all the time I'm thinking about probably next year's showing rather than this year's showing. So there we are. We have probably managed to stop it a bit more than I was expecting I was going to be able to be quite honest. But if you look from the top, which you can probably see there, this is too long. Bearing in mind, if you look all around the pot, we got nothing encroaching over the rim of the pot, whereas this one goes over by a mile. So that needs to be cut completely off. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to go down to that break there. There we are. That's taken that off. I've gone down to that break. You've got a little bit of a slightly dying stipules on the top. They're fairly dry. As I've said, we are just at the moment going through a nice dry spell. And as soon as I've done this, the greenhouse will be flung open. And we will be ready to dry these little breaks off. Got our labelling, look, Gosbridge Susanna test plant. And I think that's it. Some of these tiny little stems that are fresh and growing out the base, they've got plenty of room to grow on and catch up with these ones that we've cut. So that's what you're looking at all the time. Get rid of that sort of slightly yellowing leaf there. We've got a dead leaf in there. Get rid of that. Other than that, that's not looking too bad. We've got a nice fresh stem there, look, growing up through. We'll leave that. As I say, I think I'm thinking more of next year now in terms of getting this plant to a show. But I don't think this will actually end up being too bad for this year. And I'll obviously show you it during the spring and the early part of summer. In how it develops. All these little nodal breaks that we've got coming, look, there's one there, there's several on this tall branch here. So they'll all grow in and fill this area eventually. And you just do have to sort of think ahead. So there we are, we're done with that one really for now. That will just be put back up there. As I say, it's getting full strength feed now at every watering. On milder days, you know, it's probably, well, say milder weeks really, not milder days, but it's getting watered probably twice a week, not too much. It's in a relatively small saucer. I'm going to grab the saucer that it's in. See that? But there it is, in a relatively small saucer. So I'll fill that up and it sucks that down in moments really. But in milder times, it's getting watered twice a week now. But if it does turn cold again, it'll probably go back to, you know, just once a week. And this is one of the problems with this time of year. You've got to be careful not to sort of try to push your plants too much by overwatering, because all you'll do is potentially kill them. Don't go overdoing it. You've done the hard work in getting them through the winter now. So, you know, don't go overdoing it by giving them too much water. And I mean feed water as well. But that's not done too bad. I mean, we've given it a bit of a trim. We've got lots of fresh new little stems that are coming through. And we'll just see how that develops over the spring. So that's it from me today. I hope you enjoyed that little look at our little test plant that we're taking through. So that's it. Bye-bye for now.